Ask you a question. The fact that your mind never stops, is that actually your greatest asset? Or is the thing really standing between you and everything that you've actually wanted? Because most people I talk to at this level, they're smart, they're high achieving, done the work, you know, they frame it as an asset. I think deeply. I see things other people miss. I process fast, right? And they're not wrong about any of that. That's all completely true, but they can't turn it off. And nobody, not their therapist, not their meditation teacher, not the breathwork facilitator, if they flew to Bali to see, has ever been able to tell them why. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Here's the thing. When you type "can't stop thinking" into Google, do you know what you get? Meditation apps, journaling prompts like 10 ways to quieten your mind, all that crap. That's basically saying technique to manage the symptom. And most people try techniques, right? That's obvious. They meditate for 6 weeks, they do the gratitude journals, they download Headspace, and look, it works for a little bit and then it doesn't. And they think that maybe they're the problem. Look, I can't even meditate problem. I can't stop thinking. What's wrong with me? Look, nothing is wrong with you. What's actually wrong is the frame. So the entire wellness industry, I'm going to be really specific here, the entire mindfulness movement, most of therapy, most of the productivity world, it's really treating the mind that it won't switch off as a problem, a malfunction, a bug, something to be managed. And it's not a malfunction. It's actually a solution. It was a really clever solution to something really real. And until you understand what's really going on and what it's actually solving, no technique is ever going to get anywhere near it. Not one. Look, I've I've worked with hundreds of clients, like executives, founders, senior leaders, people who run things, and the one pattern I see consistently in people whose minds just won't stop, it's thinking is doing a job. It's not random. It's not because they're just wired that way. It's not functional. Their nervous system figured it out sometime long ago, quite often well before they had any real language for it, that staying mentally on, staying ahead, thinking through every scenario was how you didn't get caught off guard, how you stayed in control, how you prevented the thing you couldn't afford to happen from happening. And it worked, right? That's the part that nobody says out loud. This strategy, it works. And it's probably helped you build everything you've got right now. The problem, the actual problem, is that the nervous system doesn't know when to retire that strategy. It doesn't check in and go, right, are we still in this situation? It just keeps running the pattern over and over and over again. Because as far as your biology is concerned, it's not, if it's not broken, you don't fix it. So you've got this highly intelligent mind running a survival strategy that was built for a version of your life that doesn't exist anymore. That's not a malfunction problem. That's pure architecture, built to protect you, still running old code. So here's how we can think about it. So imagine you grew up in a house where the smoke alarm went off randomly, not because of fire, just went off random, just randomly all over the place. Middle of the night, middle of dinner, no pattern, right? Your nervous system would learn very quickly to stay alert, to never fully relax, because the alarm could go off at any moment and you'll need it to be ready just in case. Now, the moment you move out of that house, you're in a completely safe environment. No random alarms, but your nervous system, it does not know that. It's still wired for the house you grew up in, still scanning for the smoke that isn't there, still doing the job it was trained to do in a building that doesn't need it anymore. That's the mind that won't shut off. Well, shut up, really. It's a nervous system still listening for the alarm, still on watch in a house that's been safe for years. And here's the trap that every intelligent person falls into specifically. They try to think their way out of it. They apply the same high level powered mind solving to a problem the mind itself is creating. You're using the alarm to try and deactivate the alarm. It doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. It'll never work that way. And this is where I get absolutely frustrated with a lot of what's out there. The meditation teachers, the mindfulness industry, a significant portion of the therapy world, they'll all tell you the goal is to quieten the mind, calm it down, be still, stop your thoughts. So you go and try it, and it works for 2 minutes, and then it doesn't. And then they say you need more practice, longer sessions. You're not doing it right. Maybe come to my retreat, another certification program. You just don't need more practice. You need a completely different understanding, because you can't meditate your nervous system into feeling safe. You can't breathe your way into genuine security. If underneath it says the world requires you to stay on guard, no technique changes that. None. It's like trying to convince someone who grew up in that house to relax by explaining to them logically that smoke alarms usually go off in fires. You can't make an airtight intellectual case in this. They'll understand that they'll understand it, but the nervous system won't care, because the nervous system isn't listening to the argument. Intelligence doesn't solve human problems. As I've said, we've been taking a toothpick to a baseball game, and most of what's out there is selling you better toothpicks. It's amateur at best. So here's what's actually happening underneath. Your prefrontal cortex, the part doing all the planning, all the analysis, all the scenario running, it doesn't operate in isolation. It's in constant dialogue with your limbic brain, the part that processes threat, the part that decides whether you're safe or not. It's in people's mind. It won't stop in people's minds. Limbic brain itself is running a low-grade signal, not a panic, not a crisis, just constant background hum saying, stay alert, keep thinking, don't stop. And the prefrontal cortex, because it's really good at its job, picks that up and generates thoughts, problems to solve, worst case scenario, to a lot of stuff that you need to prepare for, let's say that. Things to stay on top of. It's a loop. Limbic sends the signal, the prefrontal cortex generates the thinking confirms that there's something to think about. The limbic system keeps the signal going, and it's just this loop on and on and on. So most people have been literally thinking in that loop for so long, it's just who they are. It's their personality. I'm just a thinker. That's how I'm built, right? That's not how your nervous system learned to survive. There's a difference, like a significant difference, because your personality doesn't change when you feel genuinely safe. Like a survival response does. So when people and clients actually get this, and not just understand it intellectually, like really get it, something shifts that no technique could, ever produced. And look, here's an example, right? I work with a guy who ran a significant organization, been to therapy twice, done the meditation retreats, spent a serious lot of money on personal development, like really committed guy. And about 3 sessions in, he's gone, I've spent 20 years trying to fix something that was never broken. And I was like, yeah, dude, you have. That's it. That's exactly it. Because the moment you understand that the mind won't switch off, was doing a job, a real and necessary job at that time, you literally stop fighting it. You stop as a threat or the enemy. And the moment you stop fighting it, something in the system starts to relax. Not because you did a technique or you did some breath work, because you finally understood what was actually happening. That understanding, that reframe, that's what changes everything. Not the app, not the practice, not the retreat, not the understanding. When people really, really get it, they get it. And people say to me, I can't believe no one's ever explained it this way. And honestly, most people out there teaching this stuff don't know how humans actually work. They're peddling techniques because techniques are sellable. Understanding isn't as easy to package. So Here's what I want you to do, right? If you're in this situation, next time your mind is running hard, like the scenarios, worst case scenarios, you can't slow down, do not try and stop it. Just get curious. Ask yourself one question. What is this protecting me from right now? Not to analyze it, not to solve it, just to acknowledge that the mind is running at full speed, is trying to do something. It's been trying to keep you safe. So that question, what is this protecting me from? That's where a completely different relationship with your own mind begins. So start there.